This is a CBS News special report. I'm Jerica Duncan. We're coming on the air with significant new information on the urgent and around-the-clock search for that missing submersible vessel in the Atlantic. I want to go straight to the news conference right now so we can get the latest information.
Everyone. Thank you for joining us today and over the past few days. This afternoon, Rear Admiral John Mauger will be providing an update on the most recent findings from ROV operations in search of the Titan submersible. He will provide a brief statement and provide the opportunity for questions after. Please limit your questions to one per outlet. Following the briefing, the Joint Information Center staff and I will be here to help you with any of your further needs. May I now please introduce Rear Admiral John Mauger.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families. I can only imagine what this has been like for them, and I hope that this discovery provides some solace during this difficult time. Additionally, we've been in close contact with the British and French consuls general to ensure that they are fully apprised and that their concerns are being addressed. The outpouring of support in this highly complex search operation has been robust and immensely appreciated. We are grateful for the rapid mobilization of experts on the undersea search and rescue, and we thank all of the agencies and personnel for their role in the response. We're also incredibly grateful for the full spectrum of international assistance that's been provided. The ROVs will remain on scene and continue to gather information. Again, our most heartfelt condolences go out to the loved ones of the crew. We'll now take questions.
Rear Admiral, can you talk about the delay in reporting the vessel missing and what impact that had on the search?
This was a incredibly complex case, and we're still working to develop the details for the timeline involved with this casualty and the response. And so we'll provide that information.
The recovery of the body.
James Matthews from Sky News. John, what other debris has been found? And have you found any trace of those who were on it?
So this is an incredibly complex operating environment on the seafloor, over 2 miles beneath the surface. And so the remote operating vehicle has been searching, and it is highly capable. And we've been able to classify parts of the pressure chamber for the Titan submersible. Let me refer to one of my undersea experts here, Mr. Paul Hankin, to talk about the nature of some of the debris.
Thank you, Admiral. So essentially, we found 5 different major pieces of debris that told us that it was the remains of the Titan. The initial thing we found was the nose cone, which was outside of the pressure hull. We then found a large debris field. Within that large debris field, we found the front end bell of the pressure hull. That was the first indication that there was a catastrophic event. Shortly thereafter, we found a second smaller debris field. Within that debris field, we found the other end of the pressure hull, the aft end bell, which was basically comprised of the totality of that pressure vessel. We continue to map the debris field, and as the Admiral said, we will do the best we can to fully map out what's down there.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's a very difficult question to ask, but it will be an important one for the families, of course. What are the prospects of recovering the bodies of the missing?
So the questions was related. I'm restating the question from the standpoint of sometimes it's hard to hear the question here. What are the prospects for recovering crew members? And so this is a incredibly unforgiving environment down there on the seafloor, and the debris is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. And so we'll continue to work and continue to search the area down there, but I don't have an answer for prospects at this time.
Admiral, it's Tom Costello of NBC News. Is there any suggestion? Sorry, any suggestion at all that the sub itself collided with the wreckage of Titanic, or that instead it might have imploded above the wreckage and then rained down nearby?
So the question was, is there any question as to whether or not the sub collided with the Titanic or whether it imploded above and debris field created from that? So the location of the Titan submersible was in an area that was approximately 1,600 feet from the wreck of the Titanic. I have an expert here that is familiar with that area and can talk about the debris field and what the debris field indicates in terms of where the casualty may have occurred.
Rear Admiral, really quickly, can you tell me when that massive fleet will be called back?
The expert voice is coming up to answer the question.
Thank you, Admiral. So the question is, where does the wreck lie in relation to the Titanic? I didn't hear the Admiral's answer. I think 1,600 feet. Was that correct, Admiral?
Yep, you got it.
So that's off the bow of Titanic. It's in an area where there is not any debris of Titanic. It is a smooth bottom. To my knowledge and anything I've seen, there's no Titanic wreckage in that area. And again, 200 plus meters from the bow, and consistent with the location of last communication for an implosion in the water column. And the size of the debris field is consistent with that implosion in the water column.
Thanks.
What would cause the implosion? In terms of the timing here, you say that this was a catastrophic implosion. And I know it's early on, but is it your estimation that this happened right at the moment when they lost contact, an hour and 45 minutes after the descent?
So the question was about the timing of the catastrophic implosion. Right now, it is too early to tell with that. We know that as we've been prosecuting this search over the course of the last 72 hours and beyond, that we've had sonar buoys in the water nearly continuously and have not detected any catastrophic events when those sonar buoys have been in the water. So.
Can you describe what happens from here, sir, in the next days and weeks in terms of finding any more debris? What happens from here?
So we will, the question was what happens from here, what's the next phase? And so right now, again, our thoughts are with the families and making sure that they have an understanding as best as we can provide of what happened and begin to find some closure. In terms of the large process, we're going to continue to investigate the site of the debris field. And then I know that there's also a lot of questions about how, why, and when did this happen. And so, you know, those are questions that we will collect as much information as we can on now, while the governments are meeting and discussing, you know, what an investigation of this nature of a casualty might look like. This is something that happened, I'll just remind everybody, this is something that happened in a remote portion of the ocean with people from, you know, several different countries around the world. And so it is a complex case to work through, but I'm confident that those questions will begin to get answered.
From the UK, is there any suggestion that time factors, speed, anything could have prevented this or saved 5 people on board, or is this quite simply a catastrophic accident?
The question was there any suggestion that time factors may have played a role or a consideration in the casualty here? And so the debris field is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. Again, while we were prosecuting the search, we had listening devices in the water throughout and did not hear any signs of catastrophic failure from those. And so we're going to continue to investigate, or we're going to continue to document the information there and understand, based on all the information we have, the timeline.
And you were listening to a news conference there with Rear Admiral John Mauger with the U.S. Coast Guard, confirming that those 5 people on that submersible have perished, saying that it was, quote, a catastrophic implosion. Also mentioning that the why, how, when did all of this happen is still unclear, but wanted to make sure the families of those 5 people you see on your screen right there were notified before they held this news conference. I want to go to Roxana Saberi, who is in Boston, has been there for several days covering this. A lot of people hoping for a miracle, but obviously as the hours went on, knowing about the supply of oxygen that they had and the fact that this was not a submersible that had been approved or certified by any regulatory body, many people had feared the worst. Roxana?
Yeah, Jerika, as you mentioned, we just heard from the Coast Guard here in Boston. The Coast Guard has been overseeing and leading the search efforts, and Rear Admiral Mauger did say that a remote-operated vehicle that was deployed by the Canadian commercial vessel Horizon Arctic had found some debris about 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the sea floor, and he confirmed that this was consistent with the loss of the pressure chamber. He said it shows a catastrophic implosion of the Titan submersible that has been missing since Sunday morning. You know, as you said, people have been holding on to hope that perhaps the 5 passengers on board were still alive. We had heard reports of banging noises that were emitted every 30 minutes on Tuesday and Wednesday, but we had not heard any updates on that since Wednesday. So people were hoping that perhaps the passengers had survived, but now we are hearing that there were 5 pieces of debris that were found, and they were all belonging, they said, to the Titan submersible. So they are still investigating, trying to determine the timeline and what exactly happened. But again, they said everything points to a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. Jerika? That's
right. And those remote-operated vehicles will remain on scene. I want to turn now to CBS News Sunday morning correspondent David Pogue. He joins us now. David, you went on board the Titan last year for a story about the sub and interviewed the CEO of OceanGate. Can you tell us your reaction to all of this? I mean, you were on this. I know you didn't get that far into it, but what an experience and a tragic ending.
It's a complicated brew of emotions. I haven't completely processed the fact that Stockton Rush, the CEO, the designer of the sub, the pilot of the sub, is gone. I spent 9 intense days with him last year on the Horizon Arctic, the very ship that has just discovered the wreckage. And P.H. Nargeolet, one of the most dived Titanic experts in the world, these were amazing guys. These were adventurers. You know, these are not like me, or possibly you. They thrive on risk and danger and exploration. And it's hard to think that they're just gone like that.
Yeah, we'll have much more, of course, later on. David Pogue, we thank you so much for your analysis.